We're getting right back into the sport of cycling today, and I am so excited to chat to our next guest. She's a two-time World Championship silver medalist, a Commonwealth Games gold medalist, competed in Tokyo, where by just mere seconds missed out on a bronze medal in the women's time trial, finished fourth in that event and finished 47th in the women's road race. And I'm so excited to learn about her journey in the sport and her hopes ahead of Paris. It's a pleasure to welcome off the podium, Grace Brown. Grace, welcome to the program today.
Thanks for having me, Ben. Happy to be here.
It's happy to have you on the show. It's exciting. It's very exciting to talk about your career and cycling and your rapid journey in the sport. I love reading about your progression in cycling, Grace, because you haven't always done cycling, have you? You sort of started off in a different sport and changed lanes, I like to say. Tell us a little bit about this journey and what sport were you initially trying life out at when you were growing up?
Yeah, I guess for most of my childhood and teenage years, and then, even after I finished school, I was running. I competed in cross-country and middle distance track. And I was fairly committed to that for many years of my life. It was quite riddled with injuries, especially, I guess, when I was trying to reach that next level, and got quite frustrated with it. And at 23, I think I'd had my third stress fracture, and couldn't really bear going through the whole recovery process again. So I sort of started looking around for another sport that could fill my cup, I guess. And I found cycling, sort of got taken away by it very quickly.
That's what you want when you kind of change that. What was it initially when you were younger that drew you to running in the first place?
I think I just fell into it a little bit through school sport, doing like the cross country at my school, and then you go to the regional competition, and then on to states, and eventually you're racing at the national level through school. I have a naturally competitive edge, I would say. And that whole that idea of competing at the top was really a big driving factor for me. In the sport that I was good at as a kid.
I was going to say, you sounded pretty like you're pretty decent at it. If you're making national levels, this wasn't just like a weekend hobby. You were pretty good at this, and this could have been something. Had the injuries maybe not fallen your way, we could be talking to you right now about as an Olympian, as a runner.
Yeah, I think it was something that I had as a dream in running, that maybe one day I could reach the level of becoming an Olympian. And some of the girls that I was racing against when I was a teenager and now, at that level competing in the Olympics, which is pretty cool to see. I think in the end, my body wasn't really cut out for it. Couldn't hack the training without getting injured. So, I've found a sport that you don't really get overuse injuries from, but you get some other traumatic injuries when you fall off, unfortunately.
Yeah, just a few. Were there other options on the table besides cycling when you sort of did that research about what other sports you could pursue?
I wouldn't really say I did much research. My dad had sort of been suggesting to me for a while that maybe I would be quite suited to cycling, and I think for a couple of years I'd been like, no, I don't want to cycle. Cycling's a bit lame.
There's a selling point right there for your sport, Grace.
Yeah, but little did I know how cool cycling is.
There's your saving point. Good job. Well done.
Yeah. So I had that in the back of my mind for quite a while, and then I think it was just another endurance sport. I was quite naive when I started. Like, I didn't realize the technical aspect and the tactical aspect of cycling. But I soon found myself in the deep end and had to learn all that stuff pretty quick.
Because I read that you basically sought out a local club almost as just as a hobby, but your competitive instinct took over, and then you were starting to look up like, well, where can I go? And then sooner rather than later, you're signing up to the national championships, basically. So, I mean, your competitive bug, after maybe doing it a bit casually, was all of a sudden like, boom, all right, let's go. And then you pretty quickly found out you were pretty okay at the sport as well.
Yeah, I think I started. I don't really remember if I had any ambition, like thinking that I'm going to, be a good cyclist now. But I just wanted an outlet, some sort of sport that I could do and have fun in. But as you said, the competitive nature took over. I started entering races and just wanted, to go to the next level and the next level and the next level. Until there's not really any more levels to go to now. I can always be better, but the professional racing circuit is like the top of the game. So it's pretty cool to make it there.
When it came to sort of that competitive level and choosing what aspect of cycling, given that you're saying that sort of coming from that endurance background, was road cycling really the only option? Was there ever a prospect of track, or because that's a lot more sprint work that wouldn't have really suited your style?
I didn't. It's sort of a little bit harder to get involved in track as like a mature person. A lot of people do it as juniors, like they start learning cycling on the track, and then they might progress to the road. It's a more contained environment, which is safer for young people, I would think. I guess because I was starting off a bit more socially, the track isn't really like as much of a social scene. I just went on the road journey. There's been moments where people have tried to suggest that maybe I should try track, but it's it would be a whole other ball game trying to learn the ins and outs of that and be able to compete at the top level there as well. You're
too good at the road stuff, Grace. We don't need to lose you to the track, do we? And it's like tracks. It's always. I mean, I've been to one velodrome in my life, and it blew my mind how steep and daunting that is. Which I can't imagine that if you don't grow up in that environment, almost that is a big. You're on a road, and all of a sudden, boom! There's this massive steep track, which in itself is a daunting transition. I can imagine.
Yeah, I have ridden on the track a few times, and I remember the first time I went on, whoever was instructing me said, just make sure that you don't go under, I don't know what it was, like 30k an hour or something, because you might slip down the track. So the whole time I was just like going as hard as I'm not going to slip. But it's not quite that bad. You have to be going pretty slow to slip down the track. You see the sprinters do track stands anyway, so you can stop. But you need a bit of skill to do that.
Did track cyclists then look at road cyclists and be like, well, okay, there's that, but we aren't going to get hit by like a truck or something like that? I remember many years ago growing up in Tasmania when Mark Webber used to have his Mark Webber Challenge, and he came around a corner and got taken out by a car because there was I don't know what happened, but I mean, that was meant to be in a controlled almost road environment. He's still getting hit by vehicles. So I guess they're looking at you going, well, yeah, but we don't have traffic on the track.
Yeah, that is a benefit. Although a lot of the track riders do ride on the road as well in the end. So
there's not like some underlying rivalry, right, then? So it's not like sort of like you're all, at the end of the day, you're all in the same team. You're just doing like, I'm sure even the mountain bikers and the BMXs, right? You're all cyclists at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, there's a lot more crossover between road and track than there is between the mountain biking and the BMX and
you're getting Logan Martin all of a sudden jumping out the road next to you in Paris. He's not, changing from the BMX. Oh, I can ride on a road. It's pretty simple, right? Doesn't quite work that way. But I mean, your progression through the sport, though, Grace. I mean, basically within a couple of years, you're at a world championship. Within 6 years, you're at an Olympics. I mean, that is crazy. Did you find that once you touched on the tactical aspects of it, the technical aspects, once you kind of got that on point, was sort of your background as a long distance runner, middle distance runner helpful in everything else that came with cycling? And that's maybe why you were able to transition into it so well?
Yeah, I think definitely like just the years of training and being able to endure discomfort that you get from running, because running's like this type of sport that you're always just at your threshold, like you never feel good. So having that, over all the years of running and then going to cycling, it's sort of, apart from, there's different muscles that you use and quite a lot of new elements in cycling, but the engine is the same and the ability to endure pain is the same. Sometimes in cycling it ends up being a little bit longer, but but yeah, I think definitely those years that I was running were not wasted.
What is it, do you think, about long distance endurance athletes that draws you to that? Because it's not fun. I mean, I've done the City to Surf. That's only 14 Ks. That's torture to me. I can't imagine like going even longer, but there's obviously got to be something there that yourself and other athletes are drawn to, that aspect of discomfort and pain, because you're always pushing yourself, right? Like, is there, like, do you talk to a sports psych and ask that question? Like, why am I doing this? What am I drawn to this long, tortuous sport? I mean, why don't I just sprint? It's over and done with in 10 seconds. Like, why do I do this?
Yeah. That's a hard question to answer. I think we've got a few screws loose probably. But I mean, we're not in pain. It's not like we're spending hours in pain. It's sort of like you'll have, periods in a race that you really have to dig deep and, grit your teeth and get through it. But I think it's sort of addictive in when you get to the end and when it's over and you look back and you're like, I really found my limits and I was able to push myself, and this is the feeling of satisfaction afterwards. I think, I don't know why, but it keeps drawing you back to do it again. Because
I imagine it is that aspect of, in an event, be it the road race time trial, that even if, say, you finish 27th, let's just throw that out there, but you put everything on the table and you knew that there was literally nothing you could do to further up. It's maybe, as you said, like an incredible feeling. But then if you walk away with a bronze medal and yet you knew you could probably have won the gold if you had to push a little bit further, it's a sport of just mixed emotions, just on that level of pushing yourself. Yeah,
definitely. I think, I don't know about other athletes, but I definitely feel like, being able to push myself to my maximum and get everything that I can out of myself on the day, whether it ends in a good result or not, leaves me with satisfaction. Whereas, maybe there's tactical aspects that if you make a decision that doesn't end up right, then it's easier to be disappointed that way, because it's like a sliding door sort of moment. But in terms of effort, like, you always feel like you've given it your all, which is nice, I think.
How quickly does it take to learn those tactics? Because this is the thing that always fascinates me, particularly, say, with road racing in cycling is that it is a very tactics-driven sport. There's all the team aspects and everything that comes with it, and just everything that you've got to kind of learn. And I can imagine there's strategy sessions and that. But I mean, for yourself, like, how long did it take you to kind of learn that and adapt to it? Or is it something that you still can never fully learn and adapt, that even after all these years now, Grace, you're still learning and adapting to how this works in the sport?
Yeah, I don't think you ever master it, especially like the context of which we're racing in, like, changes, or the dynamics of the peloton, and like how other teams are racing, and strengths and weaknesses are always changing. So there's never like a moment where you're like, I've got this worked out, this is how I win. You always have to be, learning about your competitors, learning about yourself, how you're working with your team. So many different elements that, it's very rare to do it perfectly and have the tactics dialed. And sometimes there is no perfect tactic. It's like, that you could do it this way or you could do it that way, and maybe neither way is perfect. Like quite often with races with my teams, we'll have a plan, and then after the race we go over what happened and how we sort of executed. And then there's always like, oh, well, what if you did this? Or what if, like, instead of that, we did this? But you don't know what the like, they're all ifs, aren't they? They're hypothetical. So, it makes it interesting, though.
Is it a case that you get renowned for certain tactics after a certain way? So, for example, you're known as a rider that's going to lead out the front more versus hold back, and then kind of, is it also almost double bluffing your competitors, so that if it gets to a certain point where everybody knows Grace Brown is this type of rider, but today I'm going to be this type of rider and I'm going to completely surprise you, and here we go, I walk away with a gold medal?
Yeah, you do get a bit known for I don't know whether it's like necessarily your tactics, but definitely your strength. So a couple of years ago, I would quite regularly be able to break away from the bunch and ride solo to the finish. And I haven't really been able to do that a lot in the last like year or so, because everyone else has gotten wise to that move. So it's like, we're not letting Grace Brown get an inch. I need to work out, okay, well, I can't do that anymore. I need to, find other ways to win. And it's not just tactically, okay, well, I can't ride away solo. I need to be able to out sprint or outsmart them in some way. But I also need to like train myself to be able to use different methods of winning a race. So it's quite tricky.
With that mental aspect in the sport, is there much like sledging going on out there on the course, or even beforehand some mind tricks that, be it yourself or fellow competitors are trying to do there to get into your heads on competition day or in the lead up?
It's not something that I do, but there's definitely some people out there that use tactics like that, or just have this different personality in a race. But I think majority of people try and race fairly.
Can you tell us who? Can you tell us who these others are? If you want to put you on the spot there, Grace.
No, I'm not gonna name any names, but it's not that common, mate. But occasionally people get a bit, heated or something in a race and yell at each other, or throw some unkind words around. But
to pay attention during
thankfully
Paris.
I'm not on.
We've got to look for the lip reading, essentially. That's what you're saying. Like,
yeah, exactly.
We can work. We can
Oh,
work
but
that out.
usually it'll be in a different language. So
That's all right. If they see someone looking angry, they're probably just really focused and pushing forward. But where they're going like, oh, they're angry. They're yelling at Grace. Leave her alone. You know, I remember that interview.
Yeah.
When it comes to the differences in between the road race and the time trial, I mean, basic person like myself with, just the most basic knowledge of cycling, I would look at a time trial and go, well, okay, you don't have to have those tactics. You don't have to have those strategies because it's just you versus the clock. But I'm assuming basic, little knowledgeable person like myself is very incorrect. I mean, how do the tactics, though, differ between, say, a road race and a cycling, besides the obvious of you've got to be first on the road in a road race versus the clock? And is it a case of, given your results, I would assume you prefer the time trial over the road race. But I mean, is that an accurate statement for me to say, Grace?
they are very different events. The road race, is definitely it's a bit more exciting, a bit more up to chance. So like I don't know, I don't get as nervous for a road race. Whereas the time trial is really like dialed. You have to prepare every single aspect, like really study the course, have a pacing plan that's like specific to my strengths, and really like rehearse the race like over and over and over again, because you need to know how to ride that specific course as fast as possible, not just in terms of the power that you're putting out on the bike, but also like the lines that you take on the road. And aerodynamics is a really large part of that as well. So spend a lot of time doing tests on equipment and my position on the bike. So in wind tunnels, doing like track testing, all sorts of things. So it's quite like a precision, more of a precision like event, and you have to execute on the day. So it's a bit full on and painful in the moment because you're just going like all out for the whole length.
Which also, I can imagine you've got to adapt at the moment that, say, based on your position in the race, if all of a sudden a rider lays down a time that maybe you weren't expecting, or that kind of changes things up. So do you often have your coaches or yourself kind of having discussions about, all right, well, they're 5 seconds faster than they've ever been before, and that wasn't in the plan, so now we've got to kind of look at things a certain way and adapt with the moment?
For me, when you're out on course in the time trial, I have like a radio in my ear, and the car behind me is feeding me information. And I usually choose not to hear about what times other riders are doing, because regardless of what anyone else is doing, I'm out there trying to do the fastest time that I can possibly do. So knowing that someone's gone 5 seconds faster than me in one like part of the race is not going to help me go any faster in my mind. For other people, maybe it's like a motivator and they can push a bit more, but my choice is to just do my own race and hope that goes as fast as possible.
Well, that kind of answers my next question then. So is it a case of that in an event you don't really have a preference of whether you're going early or towards the end if you're not really focused on the times as such?
Usually it's the only thing that makes a bit of a difference in terms of where you are in the lineup is because it's usually seeded. So from the last championship event, like first place, second to 10th, the 10 last riders. So then you should be fairly evenly matched with the people you're starting around, and you won't be like catching or being passed by anyone. Whereas if I was to start really early in the day, then you'd be with slower riders and you'd be passing a lot of people, which can, if you're like passing in a corner, you can't take the fastest line, or so it can be a little bit distracting if you have to pass a lot of riders while you're out on course.
That's what the road race is for, right?
Yeah. That's really like the only thing. And it can sometimes be fun, like, because you feel like you're going really fast if you're passing people. But if you catch someone in like an awkward moment on the course, then it's not ideal.
Talk about that progression. So obviously 2015 start, you're representing Australia within a few years. You're winning the Oceanic Championships, the Australian Championships, medals in Europe, doing very well. At what point does the Olympics get on the radar? Was this sort of something that just closer to 2020, obviously before things got postponed, that this was a possibility and that you were really sort of looking towards Tokyo as an opportunity to make your Olympic debut?
I think I actually got quite lucky with the delay of the Tokyo Olympics to 2021, because in 2020 I was racing well. I was, getting some solid results, but like nothing exceptional. And then COVID sort of hit and shut down the world. And when we came back to racing, then I don't know why, but I had a sort of breakthrough at the end of 2020. I won some big races, some other podium results, and all of a sudden it was like, okay, I'm quite confident that I'm going to, make the Olympic team for 2021. So I was in 2020, I was unsure that I'd get a look in. And then a year later, it was really likely that I'd be on the team. So, that was pretty cool.
What's that feeling like then, to kind of go from that point of just, wow, this is happening? And do you kind of go back to when you first switched to cycling and think about that journey? Because you touched on that maybe the Olympics would be cool as a runner, but here you are and a delay's happened and now you're on the cusp of making Olympic teams. I mean, that must be a pretty unique feeling.
Yeah, it's quite full on, like the whole selection process and everything going towards the Olympics. Like the road team is really small. We only take 4 riders, and we've got quite a lot of top Australians going for those spots. So like a lot of the Aussie girls that I race with and teammates with, all, like it's quite tense because everyone's going for the same thing. And before Tokyo, I actually crashed in a race in the Giro and hurt my shoulder, which at first I thought was just like a like contusion or like sort of a mild muscle injury. And then I got an X-ray and found out that I'd actually broken the top of my humerus. And this is like a couple of weeks out from the Olympics. And this like dread filled me that I was like, I'm not going to be an Olympian. Like it's all gone because of this stupid crash. And in those moments, that's when you realize like how badly you want these things. And in the end, I had conversations with doctors and physios and everyone, and I decided that I was going to race with this broken bone in my shoulder.
Wow.
Because that's what competing in the Olympics means. So
you'd already been selected at that point. You knew you were on the team at that point.
Yeah, I'd been selected, but yeah, I felt like I didn't know, like I felt like I could have lost the spot if, I wasn't fit to compete. But yeah, thankfully I got the clear from doctors to compete, and it was just a matter of me dealing with the pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think because I mean, I'm always fascinated with these moments when it comes to an injury, because particularly your first Olympics, right? Because these are those moments where the back of your mind, you could be like, well, preserve my body. I'll make another Olympics. I can just do this in a few years' time, but it's never a guarantee. You never know if you're ever going to make another Olympics. So had the doctor said, no, Grace, we don't think you can race. We're going to have to pull you. Could you have had that opportunity to be like, stuff you, I'm going to the Olympics, like I'm going against team orders, or is that fully in their hands and they make the final decision?
Yeah, I don't actually know that. Like, I feel like, yeah, potentially the Australian team could have said no, like, you're not going to perform with this, so we're replacing you on the team. Yeah, I feel like they would have been able to do that probably if that's what they believed.
Which
But
I guess,
yeah, which would have been pretty heart wrenching, I think.
yeah, I was going to say, because like I guess it's like you say that to that point you realize how much you want it. So through all of that and you get the all clear, does that then add extra desire? Not that you didn't already have desire to compete well at the Olympics, but then all of a sudden to kind of show what you're capable of, break through adversity, break through that pain, and kind of add a bit of extra hunger now that you realize, well, this is how much I want it, and I am now going to an Olympics.
Yeah, well, I think I was super focused because it was just like, managing, like I knew that I had to deal with that pain, and like push, yeah, sort of deal with that, like box it up and like perform regardless of it, which was, yeah, took quite a lot of mental focus, I think, looking back.
How hard do you work with the sports psych with that, and how helpful are they to kind of help you in that moment?
To be honest, for the Tokyo Olympics, I didn't do too much work with sports psych. Yeah, I think I have a sports psych, and I probably had like one session with her beforehand.
Wow.
Yeah, but I think I knew what I needed to do. I didn't need someone to tell me like this is how you manage this.
You're just able to go in there and kind of manage it yourself that way.
Yeah.
Just outside of the competition side of things, though, just soaking up everything Olympic related. Again, as we always say with Tokyo, it's a very unique Olympics, of course, but were there little things, village life, pin trading? Was there a moment when you got like your uniform where it kind of hits you? Like anything around just the aspects of a uniqueness that an Olympics brings that you sort of soaked up while you were in Tokyo?
We weren't staying in the village. There was like a hotel near Mount Fuji where all the cycling teams were based. So it felt like we were just, at another race with all the people that we usually race
with a few
against.
rings every now and then, maybe just to remind you it's slightly different.
Yeah, we did pin trading and stuff, but it wasn't quite the Olympic Village life that you hear about. But I think the most special part of the experience was realizing how many people back home in Australia were tuning in and paying attention to, and this one race that I'm doing, or two races, and how much it means to Australia as a nation. Like, people that I hadn't heard from since I was a kid were messaging me saying, we're watching, we're excited for you, supporting you. And yeah, that's like there's no other event like it that the country just like stops and watches.
But particularly given the time zone that it was in, obviously we know COVID and everybody was at home anyway. So obviously a lot of people which I guess on that, like a lot of people obviously follow cycling. It's a very heavily followed sport. So you've obviously got a lot of people who are following you out there, but just were you getting a lot of messages, say on social media from maybe long lost friends or people like that, or even just outside of that, some of the, maybe the kids who are messaging you saying you're an inspiration? I mean, it must be a very unique aspect, that side of things, even when you get home and you're in quarantine and you're able to, I guess, catch up on all of these things that, as you said, see the attention that it obviously brings to you and the sport versus other events.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's, the normal fans that we have with cycling that, I'm used to the people that follow my, general professional races. But then, lots of people that have never, I didn't even realize that they knew that I was, competing in cycling or whatever, like suddenly following what I'm doing and excited that I'm in the Olympics. So I think that's pretty cool.
A few people going, "You're not running anymore. What's this? You're cycling." I didn't know that, Grace. Well done.
I'm pretty sure I had some messages like that. It's like, what? Like, when did you stop running? Like, why are you at the Olympics for cycling?
They're tuning into the athletics. Everyone go, I'm not hearing Bruce call your name, Grace. Where are you? Like, I'm a cyclist. What are you doing? You're watching the wrong sport. I mean, I'll get to the time trial, but I mean, the road race going into that. So as I said, you finished 47th in that, but I mean, the one I wanted to touch on more about the road race was obviously just the uniqueness of what happened in that event when no one knew who won. I mean, is this a common thing in road cycling that all of a sudden it's like, hey, look at this, gold medal. And then all of a sudden, no, there's an Austrian. Anna's already, a minute or so up the road, she's already won gold. You go get your silver. I mean, that was just such a unique aspect of that road race in Tokyo.
Yeah, it was a bit odd. So the difference is that normally we race with radios. So our team car can like communicate with us and tell us what's happening in the race. We can speak to each other, our teammates on the road as well on the radio. But in the Olympics and the World Championships and the Commonwealth Games, we don't have radios. So you're basically relying on what you see. So in the Olympic road race, Anna Kiesenhofer, who won, I think she attacked as soon as like the flag dropped at the end of the neutral zone. And a few other girls went with her. So they were a breakaway up the road that, the peloton let them get like quite a few minutes ahead, thinking that on this climb they'll come back. It's not going to be a drama. And there were riders coming back from the breakaway. We were catching dropped riders, and basically most teams, didn't really count how many were caught and miscalculated that there was still one rider out ahead.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I think some teams knew that then, like, you're not sharing information with other teams. So the Dutch team were not aware.
Clearly.
Annemiek van Vleuten.
I was going to say, Annemiek thought, it was redemption for Annemiek, right? She'd won the race, and all of a sudden it's like, bad news, silver. No. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's basically what happened. And, it was quite I didn't have my best race, but I remember, so on the climb up Mount Fuji, there were attacks, and the peloton sort of split and then came back together over the top. And it was sort of assumed by anyone that rejoined that group that, okay, this is the front of the race now, not knowing that, there was still a breakaway rider out the front. So I also didn't know that she was out there. I was confused myself, but yeah, thankfully I wasn't putting. Well, I mean, I would have been happy to come second, but yeah, it wasn't me putting my hands up at the end of the race thinking I'd won it.
It's still, yeah. I mean, there's so many aspects to it, but yeah, like it's fascinating, and obviously, I mean, Anna wasn't, I guess, predicted to win a medal, was she? Like this was the shock that she was also doing that too. So I mean, it's the beauty of sports, the beauty of the Olympics that you can kind of get that, and obviously, Annemiek gets the gold a couple of days later anyway, so she sort of obviously gets that. Which on the time trial itself, so I mean, fourth place. Which doing my research into this, Grace, are women cursed in the time trial for Australian Olympics? Because you're the third time trialer in Australian history to get fourth. We've never medalled in the women's time trial at the Olympics. So you join Anna Wilson, who got fourth in Sydney.
First.
Well, I'm trying to. I want to break this for Paris because like Anna Wilson gets fourth in Sydney, Kathy Watt gets fourth in Atlanta, you get fourth in Tokyo. Why can we not get a medal and please break it in Paris? Like this is enough is enough, right, Grace? We've got to finally break through.
Yeah, well, I'm doing everything that I can to try and break that curse.
Which, I mean, going into that, did you set yourself a target? I mean, obviously, I'm imagining a medal is a target, but I mean, do you go into that thinking a medal is possible? And then how do you feel? It's probably a dumb question. How do you feel getting fourth in the Olympics? But I mean, it's been a few years now. How can you sort of reflect on the fact that you did finish fourth in the Olympic Games?
Yeah, I don't think that I expected to get on the podium. So it was sort of a bit of a bittersweet result because, yeah, like when I finished, I was originally, I think I was in second position when I first came across the line, and then there's other riders behind me, and particularly, and I got bumped down to third on the podium, and then watching Anna van der Breggen come in, and like seeing the seconds like tick over. And then finally, yeah, she came over like 7 seconds faster than me. And it was like, oh, so close. Like you're just willing her to slow down coming up the line. But yeah, it was more than I expected, I think. So I was happy with the result. But yeah, it's just like, I've had it a few times now, like in the World Championships as well. The last two World Championships, I've been 12 and then 5 seconds behind the gold medal. And just, yeah, that feeling of like, oh, like surely I could have just found those extra couple of seconds somewhere. Like,
well, I'm seeing a positive in that. 12 to 5, that's a 7-second improvement. That would have gotten you a bronze in total. So therefore, you've made that progression. That's 7 seconds in a year.
Yeah.
So here we go. Paris this year. Boom. Easy medal.
Exactly.
That's
gold
simple
medal.
math. Simple math there, Grace. But I mean, it is one of these unique sports, and we talk to, say, skiers on the show or other athletes where you kind of are, you've finished your event and you've got to watch other competitors to see if obviously you're not wishing somebody crashes or like fails, but as you said, there's like part of you who are going like, just go a bit slower. Like it's one of those unique sports where you've kind of got to do that. And again, I can imagine it's tricky because you obviously got some form of relationship with a lot of these riders. So of course, you're probably going to be deep down happy that they're going to be the one to beat you. I don't know what your relationship with is, Anna. You don't have to answer that. But like, it's just, it is a mixture of emotions that I can imagine, like sitting here now, nearly 3 years removed from it, you're obviously going to be maybe slightly different for the day or so after. I mean, were there those array of emotions after that event where like, yeah, you're happy with that performance, but you are kind of sitting on that 7 seconds, like where could have I found that 7 seconds and kind of working through that? And do you allow yourself like a cheat day? Like I'm going to eat a bunch of McDonald's today or something, like I need to get over this and just move on to the next part.
Yeah, we definitely had some days to just indulge and relax after Tokyo. I think you always need that after a sort of big focus event to just be like, you've done a lot of work, you've had a lot of focus on this, and just relax and enjoy yourself for a little bit before setting your eyes on the next target.
Which I just want to actually just really quickly on the course in Tokyo. I mean, I'm a bit of a Formula One fan, so I mean, you're racing around the Fuji Speedway, which iconic in Formula One terms. I mean, a unique track. I mean, how often are you racing at, say, designated car racing tracks? Is this a common thing, or is this just a uniqueness of Tokyo? They're like, hey, you can race at Fuji.
Yeah, we've done it a couple of times. I've raced, Fuji. We had a world championships where we sort of did a circuit that incorporated the Imola
nice.
F1 track.
Wow.
And I've also raced down at Phillip Island.
Fantastic.
MotoGP track. But yeah, it's not super common. And it's actually interesting because you see like the lines that the cars or the motorbikes take. And yeah, you on your bike, you initially think, okay, yeah, like the fastest lines, like where the time marks are going to be, but on the bike, it's completely different because, yeah, one, you're not going as fast, and you have a different lean or whatever. So yeah, it's sort of cool.
Is that helpful having someone like Tiffany on the team who may have a bit of a close in to a Formula One driver to be able to help out with things like that when it comes to talking about racing lines?
Yeah, well, Tiff was with us in Tokyo, so it was sort of interesting to hear her take on it all.
Yeah, very, very, very interesting. You touched on COVID, the delay kind of obviously helped you towards Tokyo. I believe you got surgery at the end of 2021 for the shoulder. And then since that surgery, we're talking gold medals at the Commonwealth Games. We're talking World Championship silver medals. Is this a case where, Grace, you get a bit of a break and then all of a sudden it helps you? Because obviously with the form you're in right now, it seems that surgery helped a lot. And then all of a sudden, look at you now going into Paris, things are going pretty well.
Yeah, I might need to have like another surgery or something just to...
Come LA, you're going to be winning by laps, basically. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, I think with the time trial, it's like years of layering and building and just practicing the craft of it. I think that's helped me progress in it. With road racing, it's always up and down. Like you sort of go through periods where it just comes sort of naturally, and then other times you might have like some mental block for some reason or another, or you're just like not feeling great, and you'll have a dry patch with the results. So I'm glad that I do both events because they sort of balance each other out.
Just where we're at right now, we're recording this at the beginning of March, but take us through sort of between now and Paris. What's the process to get you back to the Olympics? How are you feeling? Goals? Anything along those lines? Sort of in the next couple of months.
Yeah. So the Australian cycling team for the Olympics will be selected in June. So it's quite a while away still. This year, unfortunately, we weren't as highly ranked as we were coming into Tokyo. So we only have 3 spots for the Olympic team for the women. So it's going to be quite difficult for the selectors to pick that team. We've got 2 spots for the time trial and 3 for the road race, but they have to be like from the same pool of riders. So whether they take 2 time trialists is sort of up to how the team dynamics is best going to be.
So they could basically just interrupt. So like if you've got the 3 and 2 of them are road race specialists and say yourself's the only time trial, you might only be the solo time trial athlete based off that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But then I still do the road race as well. Right. Yeah. But I think most likely that those other 2 riders will be the best riders that they can pick for the road race. Because, yeah, we've also got, like, it's a course that suits quite a few of the Aussie girls. So I think it's something that we can really target.
Stunning course. It starts and finishes under the Eiffel Tower, does it not?
It finishes in front of the Eiffel Tower, yeah. I don't know if it starts there as well, but yeah. It's like the bridge that's in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
The finish line is there. So, like, I'm just imagining the finish photos, whoever has their hands up in the air with, like, the tower just behind them. It's going to be epic.
Amazing. Look good on the gram, which, I mean, that's the beauty of Paris, right?
That's what it's all about.
It's all about, like, who cares about an Olympic gold medal? As long as it looks good on Instagram, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah.
Like, a shiny necklace around my neck with the Eiffel Tower. That's an added bonus. But that's the beauty of Paris, right? I mean, all of these events are just basically taking place in the most picturesque locations, which, I mean, you know, we've got 2 great Olympics to follow, but no disrespect to LA and even to our beautiful Brisbane, but I don't think we've got an Eiffel Tower in LA or Brisbane. So, I mean, this is kind of one of those unique aspects, which, I mean, like, how are you feeling though? Like right now at the time of recording this, ahead of, no doubt, competitions and everything to help you get on that plane to Paris, how are you feeling as you head in towards what would be your second Olympics, of course?
Yeah. I'm feeling all sorts of things. Like, I've planned out my year, assuming that I'm going to the Olympics, and yeah, I have like really big goals for that. We're gonna target gold, and you know, if there's 4 women at the moment that are like really top time trialists, so it's like 4 don't quite fit on the podium, so and it's a bit hard to tell how like it's going to fall between those riders. So yeah, aiming for gold. If I get another colour medal, I'll be equally as pumped, I think.
Break the drought, break the curse in the time trial, right? That's what we want.
Yeah, let's just if I finish 4th again, I might have to, I don't know.
You can sue me, it's fine. This show is called Off the Podium, so I mean, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's your fault.
It is my fault. I'll own it. I'll play this clip after that in Paris and be like, Grace, to formally apologise to you and Cycling Australia for condemning you to 4th at the Olympic Games. Before we get to some questions to wrap it up, Grace, 2 things I just want to touch on. First of all, I believe you have a degree in international relations. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, I have an arts degree. I majored in international relations.
Now, I've always been fascinated by that degree. When I went to uni, I knew lots of people who did it. And like to me, it sounded really cool because it's like you're having international, like who doesn't want to do that? Like, did you do that to feel cool? Like, I mean, did you do that for a post-cycling career? Are you going to be a UN diplomat? Like, I mean, tell us a little bit about that. And are you hoping it's going to come in handy with a few gold medals around your neck in about 10 years' time?
Yeah, I don't remember a whole lot from my uni course anymore, but
who does?
Yeah, I always had dreams of becoming a diplomat or something along those lines. But I think now that I've lived a life where I am, you know, traveling so much, like when I finish cycling, I don't want a job where I'm like displaced all the time.
Stay in Australia, just retire.
So yeah, I don't think I'll go down the international relations line unless we can just move all meetings to Zoom, and then maybe it's an option.
COVID helped with the whole working from home situation, right? So the UN via Zoom. I I'm sure there's no security risk with that at all. So it's completely safe. The other aspect we're bringing up to all of our guests, we have a mascot now on the show, Grace. I'd like you to meet Chairy. This is our official podcast mascot. As you can see, he's a bit of a battered, bruised chair. Inspiration at all?
He's been sat on a bit much.
Yeah, he's been thrown around the room a bit. He's been, adversity though. He comes through adversity, but inspirational at all that he's come through adversity? I mean, he's got a bit of an injury and he's bounced back and got a gold medal. Could you use him for anything come Paris? Yeah,
definitely. I think he's a shining example of what's possible.
Hey, that is a perfect summary. How would he go? Like, how would a four-legged individual go in cycling? There's only 2 pedals. But I don't know what 2 extra legs could be used.
A tandem bike.
Yeah? Would that go faster or slower, though? I mean, I don't know. Like, it's sort of...
I reckon if you've got 4 legs, you go faster.
Hell yeah, he would. Or like if
double the power, right?
Or it could be like the extra legs on the ground, like Flintstone style. So like running, like he could do that alongside with the cycling. So there you go. We're going to get some of these made up somehow, and we can send you one, and you can have him with you in Paris, and then sort of... pull it under the Eiffel Tower. Look at this. Gold. They were wrong off the podium. Rename them to on the podium. So there you go. Thanks, Chairy, for your appearance. Grace, we wrap up every interview with a set of get-to-know-you questions. As always, these were based on a questionnaire Team Canada gave their athletes ahead of both Rio and Pyeongchang. Again, I will always reiterate with our guests, there is a drawing element if you want to. There's no compulsory aspect to this, but... do you like drawing at all? Is this something that is a bit of a hobby, or?
Yeah, I dabble in a bit of drawing.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. You don't have to do it now.
I don't.
But
I was getting my notepads ready.
By all means, get it if you want to. I'm not discouraging you, but usually we say if you want to do it off air and send it into us. So the options are, if you want, while you're answering this, if you want to, you can draw a picture of yourself. There is also draw a place from your hometown or what says province being Canada, obviously hometown or state. And usually there's like draw a picture of a teammate or draw a picture of an animal. So if you want to choose one of those, Grace, while you're answering, by all means. Otherwise, flick it to us off air. We can share.
Yeah, I'll do it off air then.
Good. All right. Okay. That's
complete. It was like a timed competition.
I feel from now on I should put you on the spot, every athlete. Like draw while you answer. Let's see how good you are. Your favorite Olympic moment is?
It's hard to go past Kathy Freeman gold in 2000 Olympics. I'm sure everyone says that.
Well, the most people do who were born. As I'm noticing recently, we're getting a lot of guests who were born post 2000. So they sort of look and go, oh, Sydney, was that a thing? So I'm glad to have someone, Grace, on the show who was alive like myself to be able to see that. So did you go to any events in Sydney? Did you go to the Olympics at all?
No. We so growing up, we didn't have a TV, but for the Sydney Olympics, we somehow borrowed a TV from somewhere.
Everyone had to have one. I think it was law, right? Yeah. I think, wasn't it? The government gave us all a TV. You watched the Olympics. Because we're all on school holidays, of course. Like the entire country, I think. I know in Tasmania we were on school holidays for 2 weeks. I think the rest of the country had school holidays for those 2 weeks in September. So beautiful times, beautiful times. As a kid, your favourite sports team was?
Ooh, I don't know. I chose to follow the Sydney Swans because I liked their colours.
Okay.
But I wasn't a very avid follower.
Right. That's okay. There are worse AFL teams to go for, trust me. If you could be any superhero, who would you be?
Ooh. Oh, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man, yes.
That's the woman's version.
Is there a Spider-Woman? I think there is a Spider-Woman.
I don't think there is.
Well, there is now. Let's say that. How would Spider-Man / woman go on a bike? I don't know, the flexibility and the agility. I don't know. How does that translate to cycling?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't think you really need the bike.
True. Yeah. You got webs, right? Yeah. You just pull all the competitors out of the way.
Web around.
Yeah. Web around. That works. Your favourite music artists are?
Ooh. The National.
Mm-hmm.
Bit of a mix, actually. Bonobo.
Okay. Can you have that
Um,
going in the headphones, like during a race? Like if you've got your radio, can you be like, "Hey,
no.
coach, put on a bit of music for me"?
Or maybe in like a really long, boring race. But yeah, generally not. There's not time for that.
No, not if you're like 2 minutes ahead in a road race. Like I'm bored. Put on off the podium. Let's listen to it.
Listen to a
Let's
podcast.
listen to a podcast. Why did you win? I was listening to Off the Podium. Chairy got me over
Yeah.
the line. Doesn't quite work that way.
No.
Damn. All right, there goes that idea. If you could eat one food for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Oh, hot chips.
Hot chips. Yes, everyone loves hot chips, right? Like, just
Yeah.
are you like chicken salt type of person?
No, just regular salt.
Regular salt. Okay.
But yeah, you have to have tomato sauce.
Oh, yes. I like it. Your favorite place to compete is?
Australia.
Australia. Is there a particular, like, I guess, favorite race that you've done in Australia? Because there's plenty around the country now, aren't there?
Yeah, well, the Tour Down Under is pretty fun to race in. It's a bit like a cycling pilgrimage for all cycling fans in Australia. So everyone's there. Bit of a party atmosphere almost. So yeah,
That's what you need.
fun.
That's what you need. Your favorite cartoon to watch growing up was?
Oh, what's I've like completely blanked on what it's called.
Give me some hints. What was it about? Might be able to.
The family like in the jungle.
Wild Thornberrys.
Yeah, the wild thornberries.
Great show. Yes. Yes. I think no one's ever answered that before. So, yeah, bring back Wild Thornberries. Didn't they do a movie, I think, with the Rugrats? Wasn't there like a mix between the two, I think, at one point? Or
Potentially.
yeah, probably. Yeah. Anyway, they're rebooting everything. It'll probably come back now after this. After you win your gold medal, they'll be like, hey, Grace Brown, let's bring back Wild Thornberries. If you had to do karaoke, what would you sing?
Oh, I'm a horrible singer.
Well, there goes that question. We won't ask you to sing next.
Yeah. I like usually try and avoid it or like pick a really easy song.
So you're saying if you had to, you wouldn't.
So if I had to, I wouldn't. Yeah.
You wouldn't. Okay, that's an answer. If you could be an Olympian in any other sport besides your own, what would it be?
Athletics.
Athletics. There you go. All right. We always talk about being poached in sports on this show. A lot of sports like to transition, or as we say, poach. It's stealing. Let's be honest. But is there any do people at like alpine skiing or any of sort of these like winter sports try and go like, hey Grace, you're good at that speed skating? Like, I mean, I know there's a bit of a transition there. Any sort of people sniffing around?
It's usually speed skaters that come to cycling, not vice versa. I think it's probably because there's more money in cycling than speed skating.
I mean, I love our winter athletes, but I just think that half of them are just stolen from other sports. We know all our aerial skiers are just gymnasts who could have been winning us gold in gymnastics, but they just get stolen for aerial skiing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think cyclists I think like cycling ruins people. So like no other sport wants you after you've been a cyclist.
Cycling ruins people. I'm not going to forward this on.
Cycling definitely poaches from other sports, especially rowing, and rowing, running, and speed skating. I
just want there to be the most obscure sport one day that all of a sudden you've got like, I don't know, Badminton Australia rocks up to a road race one day. It's like, Grace, you'd be really good at badminton. And you're like, yeah, I would be, wouldn't I? I'm going to LA to play badminton. Like, I mean,
they haven't seen my hand-eye coordination, obviously.
One of these days it's going to be weird. Other than that, or we can just say stop stealing athletes' sports. Like, let's just stick to your lane. I reckon we'd be bloody great at gymnastics if those bloody aerial skiers just stuck to their sport. I'm just saying. No disrespect to our current gymnasts. But like Lydia Lassler, multi-gold medalist at the Summer Olympics, had she stuck to it. Who knows? Just putting it out there. Your favorite thing to do, well, speaking of winter, this is a question given to a winter athlete. So the question for them is, my favorite thing to do in the summer is, so I'm going to say, what's your favorite thing to do in the winter?
Oh, well, I don't get to see winter very often. But yeah, one thing that I really miss is skiing.
Okay. There you go. It's not often like, I mean, I feel that is a better question to winter athletes because they're usually the opposite. They never usually see summer, right? So they're relishing a beach and the sun, where I don't often see summer athletes going, oh God, I really wish it would snow. Unless you like skiing. So,
Yeah, I don't like it snowing when you're like not actually going skiing. But
don't be too positive on the winter sports. Speed Skating Australia might be listening. Just don't. I hate winter. I hate it. It's terrible. Your favorite movie is?
I don't have a favorite movie.
Okay. There you go.
Can that be my answer?
Yeah, why not? Not enough people answer that.
I always blank on these types of questions.
When you draw, it will hit you. You're like, hey, I like that. I was going to ask, there are cycling movies. I know they did that. I mean, it's not the best cycling movie in terms of the subject. Obviously, there was a Lance Armstrong movie, but there are cycling movies. And was there not a cycling sort of like Netflix documentary as well, pretty recently as well?
Yeah. Last year, I think that was.
Yeah.
It came out.
Yeah. So I mean, we live in this sort of golden age of sports documentaries at the moment. So I always assume that every single sport has some sort of like Netflix show or something on it based on there. Last one I'll ask you, Grace, your favorite place to visit in Australia is?
Tassie.
Yes. There you go. I'm a Tassie boy. I like it. What particular, just the entire state? Is there a particular favorite part you've got in Tassie to go to?
I've been, I don't know, like up in the mountains, pretty good.
Yes.
Cradle Mountain, or like Grayson,
Beautiful
Pine
part.
Bay area.
Do you done much cycling down there?
Not a lot of cycling down there, actually. Back when I was still racing at like the domestic Australian level, there was a tour down in Tassie.
Mm-hmm.
Just out of Launceston. So, but that's the only cycling I've done down there.
You could do the I believe they still do it in Evandale, the World Championships for penny farthings. Have you ever thought about getting on the giant ass like ones with that? I know it was a bbig deal every year. I'm pretty sure they would still do it, but there you go.
I've never tried to ride one of those.
They're scary looking things, aren't they? So I don't know how that would go in the transition. Grace, before we let you go, people want to follow your journey between now and Paris, social media. Where can people stay up to date with your progress?
Probably the best place is Instagram. I don't really put much on X, as we call it these days. I just need to remember what my handle is.
Do you want me to help you out? I may have it in front of me. You go. You've got it. Go for it.
_G_Brown.
Easy. That one's a simple one to remember. We'll tag people. We'll tag you in it, of course, for people to check out on this post. But Grace, absolute pleasure to learn about your journey, your career, everything else in between. Good luck for everything between now and Paris. And think of Chairy when you're under that Eiffel Tower with the gold medal around your neck. And then maybe you can formally apologise to me. I don't know. I mean, your interview on Channel 9 can be like, first thing, Ben, you were right. I'm sorry, I doubted you.
Thanks, Ben. It's been good talking to you.